So let me ask you what we gonna be discussing
Huh?
what we gonna be discussing tonight.
Hey, brother, whatever you want to discuss, I'm ready for you tonight.
You say you got the bullets. I'm trying to see I'm trying to trying to see if I need to put my bulletproof vest on.
But you might need to, boy. You coming with that pseudo
That pseudoscience.
Yeah, man. Pseudoscience. A proposition, a finding, or a system of explanation that is presented as science, but that lacks the rigor essential
Hey Bo,
of the
hey,
scientific method.
hey Bo,
Yes, sir.
relax. I'm about to put it on the screen next because I want to show you something that I don't think you understand, my brother.
You don't think I understand?
I gotta help you out. So before we get started, let me ask you, what science don't pick up at,
You say what that?
whatever science don't picks up at, wherever wherever science fails you at, what you start on to then,
Shit, the truth, man.
right?
You
So,
can't. The truth will never fail you.
huh?
The truth will never fail you.
What you mean by that?
That mean, shit, it'll never fail you. Like me knowing for a fact that this is what it is. You feel me? That won't fail me. Knowing that when it rains, I'm gonna get wet, so I need a jacket. Knowing that's a fact. You feel me? With that being said, I know that's a fact. So I know if I go outside and it's raining and I don't have a raincoat on, I'm gonna get wet. More likely, I'm gonna still get wet, but it's a higher possibility that I get wetter than me wearing this poncho. You feel me?
Pause. Pause.
Hey man, we ain't in New York, man. You talking about, man? We in the South, man. Well, hey man, I'm on my pimp seat. Hey man, shout out to the pimp, man. You ain't gone, man. You still home, man.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
And they say I get wetter, but nah, man. Look, man. Let me set my screen one more time. You out, my. All right, you fuck with Wikipedia, Rambo. Rambo.
Yes, sir.
I say you fuck with Wikipedia.
You say what that?
I say you fuck with Wikipedia.
Well, who that?
You fuck with Wikipedia.
To a certain extent, shit, we could go on there and put some shit on Wikipedia.
All right, now look, check me out. When I ask you when you stop, when I ask you when you stop using science. I got you unsaid. I'm about the link right now. I'm about to send you the link right now. Unsaid. Hold up. Let me send unsaid the link. You want to come talk to you, Rambo Yappa Tappa? session on Monday. All right, I
Hey
just
man, y'all ain't finna tag team me, man. You need to goddamn call Goo now.
yeah. I sent the link to Goo. I sent the link to Goo too. Goo want to talk to Uncle Sid too. Hey, so look, Bo. Hey, Bo,
You say what up?
you see the screen?
Yeah, I see it. You know it be
When,
small. I'm on the cell phone.
so when you stop using science, when science fails you, you feel me? You you start using other things in your life. Now you said you go to the truth. Now let me show you what the truth is. Now this pseudoscience right here, the demarcation between science and pseudoscience and scientific, philosophical, and political implications. So you coming at me like, brother, like you know the truth. You coming at science like, nah, science ain't got it all. Like you a little political. Science ain't got it all. Let me fill in this gap with the truth of the mind of the black man. And we saying that that's pseudoscience. Rambo Yappa Chopper. Uncle said, how you doing, my brother?
Peace to the family. What's going on? I heard the beginning of this build and I had to jump in from the get go because my brother was talking about truth. Now, that's a philosophical discussion that even the philosophers haven't come to a conclusion on what that absolutely means. Because the truth of the matter is, we're having a discussion now. The truth of the matter is, Harry Potter is a book, but it's not true what the contents of the book contains. So truth is something that is subjective and it's on many levels. Science doesn't doesn't deal with truth. We don't care about truth. What we care about is an accurate explanation of a natural phenomenon. So now getting wet is a matter of fact. Science isn't interested with getting wet. Everybody understands getting wet. Science wants to explain why and how come it rains. That's the more interesting question for a scientist. Why does it rain? What are the mechanisms in this natural world that makes it rain? What is water? How can it go from a gas to a liquid back to a gas? These are the questions that science deals with. So that's a different kind of truth. Now, when we ask the question, what is truth? When it pertains to reality, anything and everything which comports to reality. An apple is an apple is an apple. It comports to reality. There's a taste. There's an ontology behind it. We can describe it. We know there are different flavors. We put it in apple pies. There's cookbooks dedicated to apple. There's whole study dedicated to the different types of apple. We know that apples exist. Now, we share a common understanding. If I say a mermaid, and we can go into the ontology of a mermaid, yet we understand that there's no factual evidence to substantiate the reality of a mermaid. So is a mermaid true? No, it isn't. But do we share a common understanding of what that is? Can somebody make an accurate portrayal of what that concept is? And we can look at it and say that's a true mermaid? Yes. So truth in that perspective is objective, is subjective. And we can't pin it down, not even within the realm of philosophy. But science will teach us that there can be no hybrid fish. The physical nature of a human being, their flesh, their makeup, the ability to reproduce, this is just impossible. We understand that. So we have tools to discern imagination, conceptual ideas from ideas that are underlined by factual, evidential, substantive matter. So these are the parameters in which science engages the mind. We want to understand the natural phenomena that we observe. And by answering questions, we get more questions. And by answering those questions, we get more questions. The quest for knowledge is infinite.
Okay. Rambo Yappa Chopper, you got something to say today? I'm about to share my screen. Rambo, you want to say something?
I agree with him. It is infinite. You're gonna always forever be a student, and that's something I know. You feel me? So get what? I want to know the truth. That's what I want. You feel me? I guess that's why I'm not a scientist. I guess that's why I ain't into religion. I guess I guess that's just me. You feel me? If it don't make sense to me, shit, I don't give a damn what somebody done said. If I can't conduct the experiment myself, I can't say it's true.
What you eat today?
Lobster, um, egg, potato.
How they grow that potato? What's in the potato?
I'm not familiar. It's
I
fine.
rest my case.
I know it'll come out the dirt.
You see, when you have a particular point of reasoning that has to be holistic, most of what you engage in, you have no clue how it's produced, where it come from, none of that. But there are entities that exist that you trust, like the FDA. Anytime you open that refrigerator and you grab a carton of milk or a bottle of juice, it's the FDA that certifies and says that product is safe. You don't do the experiments.
You
Even
right.
if I brought you to a laboratory and I taught you how to take blood and I put the blood in the vials for you and I took you in the back of the lab and I said, here you go. You want to know if hemoglobin is real? Run the test yourself. You still wouldn't know.
What's up? Where I get these tests from? 'Cause I ain't know I had access to
So, so to base your position on you not having run the experiments, that's a flawed point of reasoning. Because 99% of what you engage in, you haven't ran the experiment.
Hey, Bo,
pretty
would you
much
agree
that.
with?
No, no, sir.
So, like, as far as your phone, you feel me? You don't know how to put your phone together. Like your car, you don't know how to. Can't put it. You can't break it apart and then put it all back together. If you get what he's saying, like, the milk, we
I'm
trust that.
saying, listen though,
You got it.
listen though. I'm saying though, just like he said, scientists are not interested in the truth. Bo ain't interested how to break something down. That's not the truth I'm worried about. McCann, you could use a
What is
different
the truth you're
scenario
worried
for
about?
that than
What is
that.
the truth you're worried about?
You feel me?
What is the truth that you're worried about?
The truth, it ain't even worried about interested in.
Okay, yeah, yeah,
Cause
sorry,
I,
my bad. What
I
is the
had to
truth
correct
that you're
myself.
interested in? And how do you go about um, confirming? What's your epistemology? How do you know what you know? How do you confirm that what you know is the truth? What's your process of coming to that conclusion?
Shit, a lot of times is A lot of time hearing it out the horse mouth.
First of all, what is the truth that you're interested in?
Oh, how like the government corrupted us, the education system, put religion on my people, just my people being fucked up. They eyes closed and goddamn they brainwashed in tunnel vision and shit to whatever they goddamn whatever they cup of tea is.
So, so again, maybe my mind doesn't go as deep. So you can maybe make it a little superficial for dude like myself. You know, I'm an older man. So what is this truth you're interested in? Like
Basically the lies that have been told to us. I want to know the truth. What the
the
hell?
truth
Who want to live a
about
lie?
what? The truth about what?
Uncle said, have any country in the world been to the moon yet, or been to the been I say been to the moon or another planet?
To the moon, for sure, definitely. To other planets, not yet. The idea is to set up a station on the moon from which we can launch to Mars. That would make the trip 3 years back and forth to launch a space mission to Mars from Earth would take too long. We won't be able to accumulate the resources necessary for the trip. So this is why that last landing from the Indian spacecraft on the pole of the moon, right, to where they suspect water to be, which is a crucial element to humans establishing any type of colony. So if they can find water on the moon, that would be a mission's goal for establishing a colony on the moon from which we can launch to Mars.
Okay,
So
so
yeah, we've been to the moon.
when we talk about science, when we talk about science, education, we know that it's universal. But let's say one country is spreading false science, false doctrine, spreading false information that they've been to the moon, spreading false information that they got all this technology and stuff like that. What do the other countries do to them?
Exposed. They would be ridiculed. They would be laughed at. Look, when we use the word science, we need to start with science is not a thing in of itself. It's a term that means to know. And there are processes by which we come to understand natural phenomena. Knowing and understanding natural phenomena produces byproducts, produces technology. And in turn, technology allows us again to engage in more knowing, to go beyond, increase the knowledge that we have. And science is a word that is it encapsulate all those different processes. You have medical science, you have evolutionary biology, you have a study of the earth, you have a geography is a study of the different continents, and but then you have archaeology, you have anthropology. These are all areas of study, areas of coming to know. And each one has its own discipline, right? Now, what you want to be able to do as a human being is have a general understanding of the processes involved in these different disciplines. So, would you want to know how humans came into being? Then you are going to take your time and go through the process of understanding evolution. Evolution is a fact. Evolution simply means the diversity of life that we have on the planet. No one can deny that. That's a simple fact of reality. Now, science gives us the tools to understand that process. Once you engage in that exercise, once you have now developed the understanding of how that process is, you can begin to ask the relevant questions where you might see a particular area of study that is not necessarily developed to the point that it answers specific questions within that field. That is an ongoing process. So when you talk about truth, truth is absolute. There is nothing more to understand or to discover once you have established and reached the point of truth. That's why science doesn't deal with truth, because the process of coming to know is never ending. It doesn't mean that we don't want to have as much correct understanding of reality as possible. So to say that science doesn't engage in truth, again, is a philosophical parameter, because truth is never ending. Once you've achieved the truth, there is nothing more. It's absolute. That's it. It's over. But science teaches us that more questions that are answered only produces thus more questions that you want to have answered again. So it's a continuous process. There's no end to it. So that's why when you say you're looking for a truth, you need to be specific. Do you want to have the truth of how blood types function? Do you want the Do you want the knowledge or the wisdom or the information of how your immune system works? These are all truth. There's a truth to how the immune system works, but it's not an absolute truth. We are still learning the
Hey,
different mechanisms and fine tuning the process as we go. But you can have the information that is valid and up to date that exists today. And from there, you can engage with reality in a much more holistic fashion.
hey, Uncle Sid. One of the questions I think that he was trying to ask, let's say the Rothschilds. Do you know anything about the Rothschilds' validity
Of
or
course,
them controlling education or anything like that?
these are all conspiracy theories, right?
Okay.
Again, science. If you leave, if I let my pen go in the Caribbean, in New York City, in the heart of Texas, down in Australia, it's gonna fall with a constant rate. So each country engages in science. We learn the same science you do. We get the same tools, thereby allowing everyone to assess the credibility of the information. You are not given you're not given facts. You're taught systems. You're taught the ability to reason. You learn to calculate. So you, so these processes are universal, right? And and you can probably teach American history that would be different from Caribbean history, but geography and latitude and longitude is going to make me end up in New York from any particular place on this planet, understanding what longitude and latitude is. And that's universal. So it we we engage with the world based on our ability to comprehend, discern, and analyze the information. How come we can hear pseudoisms a mile away, whereas someone else will be completely enthralled by some bullshit? Their ability to discern information, their understanding of how reality works, and their ability to reason logically and analyze the information in front of them in real time. Those are the tools you're equipped with.
Hey, Bo,
Yeah.
talk to me, man. You want to ask Uncle Sid some questions, or you want to throw some bullets at us?
Hey man, I'm just when Uncle said on, I'm just soaking up the game, man.
Just soaking up the game. Overstood. All right, Uncle said, can you tell us a little bit about um Pangea and why people got these talking points about Pangea?
Pangea is the early state of the early formation of the planet. At this point in time in the history of the planet, there was no life on this planet to speak of. So it is not relevant to anything in terms of how we interact with the planet. At the point that life began to materialize on the planet, the shift and the split of these continents was already had already taken place. Pangea is the theory of the plate tectonics being much closer together and the land mass that we now see being much closer together and the split happening when the earth started to cool, which formed the plate tectonics and the land masses started to move away from each other. However, this is all billions early Earth formation. Um, no, no talk of life of whatsoever at this point in time in the planet's history.
I'm so glad you said it how you said it because your first words was but there was no life form. So that kills anything that any goddamn aboriginal or any nigga that never seen a world map before. I had a nigga tell me, Uncle said, probably gonna think I'm lying, but I had a nigga tell me that you can drive from the Grand Canyon to Africa.
Maybe in one of those Super Mario games. I don't know. Anything is possible, but it's not probable. No, that's impossible. Come on now.
Okay, so what about this whole thing with we can't go to Antarctica if the ice wall is holding up the flat Earth, and
Listen, we can book a trip right now. Get on, get on a cruise liner. Go down to Antarctica. Get off and do a trek and go inland to some of the stations and camps they have set up there. What there's a treaty on with regards to Antarctica that it will never be colonized for any military purposes. That's a worldwide agreement. So it's open to research. However, the conditions to get there there's only a small window when it's relatively calm to make that crossing, especially in off the Cape Horn in Africa, South Africa. The water is extremely rough, right? Even an icebreaker got stuck there a couple of years ago. So it's treacherous, it's dangerous, but it's totally accessible, and there's no goddamn ice wall. What these ignorant people do is that they know or they're aware of a certain level of ignorance, and I mean the lack of information to their audience. And what they would do is put up a picture of a glacier or an ice sheet that has broken off from the main ice block in the summer, and that picture is taken from the cruise liners that are there with bunch of tourists on them. So it like they're totally disingenuous. Like, and that's why I keep asking the question, and that's why most of these guys don't want to debate me. Because my question is, what is your objective? What is your end goal in selling information that is not productive for our people and will give us no tools to move forward? Why? What is your objective? And this is where the conversation shuts down because they don't have an end goal. They, I call them agent provocateurs. We are moving, especially the conscious community, in a direction of scientific literacy. You see the hard time the pseudos got making an entrance in the conscious community, right? And boom, this Abo movement sticks its ugly head up. None of these guys are employed, right? They don't go to a 9 to 5. They sit around, do nothing all day. They troll on these platforms. Who is paying them? How can they sustain their existence? These are agent provocateurs. Anything to keep the black black people in a state of ignorance, not understanding financial literacy, scientific literacy. You get black people thinking critically, their whole political system will get shaken up. Scientific literacy develops your critical thinking. It enforces your skepticism. It teaches you to ask the right questions. So instead of falling down rabbit holes looking
That's
for reptilians, you are focused on your community and the changes that need to be made in your school system, in your education system. You're electing different people to your boards. Your politicians are a different breed and class all of a sudden because the people ain't having the bullshit no more. They're asking the right questions. A different caliber of person got to come around. They don't want this. This is my conspiracy theory.
perfect point. Perfect point. I'm gonna ask you this question because you led me right up into it. When we find out that the white man fucked up religion, when we find out that so this is it's not heartbreaking, but it's game changing to where you throw the Bible away. Uncle said, what are the routes that you fall upon once you throw the Bible and spirituality? What are the options that you have once you throw a God away? What are the options that you have?
Man, you don't know how much I appreciate this question. Because I've been thinking holistically, what are the tools do you arm a person with that has a flawed system of, of reasoning? Why do I say that? To accept unseen, unknown, unsupported, no evidence. You establish a way of thinking that has made your mind lazy. You do you lack the tools necessary to engage in fundamental thinking. The process of coming out of that, first of all, is engaging in reading basic philosophy, basic stuff. Go to the rudimentary uh, 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 tools of understanding cosmology, right? And in our time and age, we are afforded the luxury of having, we're being catered to as Black people. We're visual, we're auditive, we don't like to read a lot, right? These are some of the facts they say about Black people, right? We have YouTube. You have Professor Dave that has a 42-part series on cosmology. When you're done with that, the question of God did it falls away because that's the first thing people hold on to. You're gonna leave the religion alone, but because you can't explain the natural world around you, you still hold on to the God. You don't necessarily leave the God alone. You get away from the Bible. Maybe Jesus isn't real. Paul is fake. The white man religion, blah, 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 blah. But God and my spirituality, no, no, I'm gonna hold on to that. Cause how did we get here? I ain't come from no monkey. See, that frame of reasoning doesn't go away automatically. Saying you no longer believe in the three monotheistic religions doesn't automatically arm you with the tools to understand reality. And then you still engage within the same frame of reference. Well, how did we get here? There must have been a God. No, I'm not religious. I'm spiritual because I feel an infinite connection with the universe around me. There's this energy that binds all things together, and that force is the force of God. You
Come on.
see, when you look at the trees,
Preach.
and you look
Preach.
when you look at the trees, you can see that we're here with a purpose and an intent. It is a universe looking at itself through the eyes of man. And then you're in the Dr. Phil cult. You see? So critical thinking, developing the skills of analysis, engaging in science and at the basic levels. Understanding when we say we're stardust, right? That stars needed to explode to produce the elements of which we are also made up out of. But produced by the sexual interaction between my mom and dad. Sperm is produced by the human body. Egg cells are produced by the human body. So children are produced. Life is produced. Nature produces. Nature doesn't create. So when you start to have the ability to fundamentally change these thinking mechanisms, nature produces, man creates. We engage our minds, and your mind produces an idea. And then we engage in the process of creating, bringing an idea into reality. Nature produces. So from the time you frame nature as creation or something being created, you imply an agent. You give agency to something outside of the universe, outside of reality, that engages with reality. So you're saying something that doesn't exist engages with existence. Now, when you can analyze the thinking process, you come to realize that's irrational thinking. So it's fundamentally engaging in environments that challenges your philosophical paradigm, which allows you to incorporate better epistemology. You go from a place where you were convinced that something was there with no evidence of anything being there, to a point where you're saying, you got to show me the bacon, motherfucker. Mm-mm, nah, nope, nope, I don't believe you. Nope, I don't believe you. You got to show me the evidence. And you don't want proof, you want evidence. I can prove anything philosophically, but I need the evidence. I need tangible, chewable, feelable, kissable, huggable evidence.
100. Hey, Uncle said, quick question. I think it was on Pseudo Killers today. When we talk about 1 billion years, I think what they say, the everything is 13 billion years, right?
13.5 or 13.6 billion years is the age of the universe.
Okay, so let's say, and I heard y'all, for somebody to say, man, they made that shit up. They made that goddamn number of 13 billion years. I heard Sirius B, brother Brendan said something microwave something. That's a tool that they
The cosmic microwave radiation, the background noise. So
use.
when we began to understand the rapid expansion of the universe from that singular point, right? We understood based on calculation that you would get a residue of microwave background noise, right? Microwaves. That's heat radiation. You would get that as a result of this rapid expansion. With the Hubble telescope, they found it and detected the microwave radiation background noise. And then it was independently established again via the Planck Institute with its own satellites. So that made the Big Bang an actual theory because that was the prediction that followed the understanding of the Big Bang. So once that was understood, you got a prediction. And that microwave background noise, it gave us that prediction. And it also gave us the time. How do we measure the distance of light, the speed with which light travels? We have the red shift and we have a blue shift. Why do we see our sky blue? Because that's the light traveling towards us from the sun. The first light that hits the Earth's atmosphere is the blue spectrum. So that's why the sky looks blue. That's the first light that reflects from the oceans. That's why the oceans look blue. So, based on us understanding how light travels, we can accurately calculate the age of the universe to be 13.6, 13.7 billion years old. And as our ability to measure light becomes more refined with things like James Webb telescope, those numbers will even get more precise.
Rambo Yappa Chopper, you got a question for Uncle Sid real quick, or you want me to keep going?
You keep going, man.
All right. So, Uncle Sid, when we talk about um black people trying to call themselves Indians, um, with the DNA test, you will see that we share between 2 10%, 2 to 15% Native American. When black people do their DNA, it'd be like 2 to 15%. Um, but they hone in on what Grandma said. Can you talk a little bit about what Grandma said?
And look, these abos, they're an embarrassment to the community, honestly, especially when we're at the level of scientific literacy that we're at today. Our understanding of sociology, our understanding of history, to have grown men sit up here with his grandmama said, and how old is your grandmother? 65? Your grandmama ain't 300 years old. Your grandmama may be 70. I'm 50 years old. Now, I'm down here in the Caribbean. My grandmama, if you see a picture of her, she looks like Sitting Bull. She was a native Indian and her dad was a European, right? My mom's dad is an African, but her mom is 50% native, 50% European. My dad is African. I ain't no Indian. I'm an African. Right off the top, 75% of me is African. That discussion is over.
I like how you maneuver through this shit. I like how you maneuver. Yeah.
The rest of that conversation is over. Like, who in their right mind? How am I gonna which my grandmama? Wait, I'm I'm just she isn't even 50% She in her totality, she represents 25%. And she is only she's only 50% of each. So that is already watered down to the point that it's neglectable. Whereas the rest of those components are African. So my sum total is 75% at least. That conversation is redundant. And my grandmama is a direct Indian. Ah,
I like
so how the hell these fools gonna come and give me your grandmama said when your grandmama is half quarter Cherokee, one eighth Cherokee? Because 300 years ago there was an Indian that made it with a black man and subsequently been black ever since. In between those 300 years, some whitey came in somewhere and was back out. What? What? You Indian? What kind of Indian are you? Cowboys and Indians. The arguments that
Oh, you
these
talking
guys
about me?
use, the arguments that the abos use are,
Oh,
are
you
is,
talking about me, SB?
say
repeat
again.
Huh?
that.
So you said grandma. I know you weren't talking about me. But if you
No,
was talking about me,
Nah. That's
no,
nah.
no, no, no. That's an
It,
abo argument. The
oh, I was
grandmama
about to say,
said.
cause you
The
know how I
grandmama
feel
said
about that.
argument.
Cause you
hey,
No,
know
my
Bo,
how I
brother.
feel
No,
about
no.
that shit.
you listen to any nigga. If you listen to any nigga that say they Indian, they gonna say they grandmama said.
Dude, 24. His
Man,
grandmama 65, and he's talking about 300 years ago. His grandmama said,
man,
how you doing that?
listen, Doctor said this the only time I probably comment, cause I got some tight shit going on like that. But listen, my great grandma, she was down there 100 when she died, but she was majority Indian. You feel me? And I be telling motherfuckers when they say that shit, I be like, man, listen, man. My great grandma majority Indian, man. I know this shit for a goddamn fact. You feel me? Bitch, I ain't no motherfucking Indian.
Thank you.
The fuck?
My grandmama she comes from a neighboring island where there's still native Indians, right? They're watered down now, but like my grandmother's been dead for like 20 years, and she died at 75 or something like that, right? So she would have probably been near 100 now. But she's a mix. Her dad was an English sailor, and my great grandmother was a blooded Caribbean Indian, right? One of these Tainos from these islands. So my grandmama is a half breed. My mama's dad is an African. My dad is full African. There is no way I'm Indian. And my grandmama is a half breed. Like it's that close, and I still ain't no Indian. I'm an African. Like how Sway?
Yeah, it's like they math ain't mathing. Like my great grandmother, I want to say she's half, but she looked majority goddamn Indian, Beulah Horn, but her husband was black. You know what I'm talking about, African American. So that shit trickled down like a motherfucker. So your math gotta be mathing. If you don't
Yeah,
look like I'm Indian, you gotta stop saying that bullshit.
man, please just stop it. That's retarded at this point. Like, come on, man. After two generations, what are you talking about? Your grandmama ain't but 65, bro. What you talking about? Your great grandmama ain't no Indian. What?
But yeah, like you said, you got to go way back. If you got the Indian, then you got to go way back to get the
Way
full
back.
blooded Indian. Full-blooded Indian is mom and dad are Indian.
I gotta
Shit.
go all the way back to
Grandma and
my
granddaddy
great grandma.
Indian. Great granddad and great grandma Indians. Time 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Shit.
Majority of my ancestors African, and all of a sudden, cause of one bleep, I'm injured.
That shit crazy.
Your grandmama may be injured, but your granddaddy ain't. And your other side, both of them are black. So what you telling me about your one grandmama?
I'm trying to tell you, and they were goddamn shit. Some of them probably was slaves.
Hey, they don't mention the grandpa.
You see, their
I
one
know I had
grandmama,
some. I know I
your
had some
one
slaves in
grandmama
my
mix,
shit.
your one grandmama mix, and your granddaddy, he's African. The next side, both your grandmama and your granddaddy African. How the hell you injured?
That
And
math.
your mama and your papa black. How the hell you injured? You excluded all the rest of that DNA, and you hold on to your one grandmama.
And one little piece.
Hey, so hey, Uncle said. So let's. So I know you gonna possibly get in the ring with one of them before this year over with. So we're gonna save some bullets. Okay. With the so with the Jesus with the Jesus character, if we looking at him from a philosophical view, how can we prove that Jesus was fake from a not just philosophical but evidence based historical with you could talk about Herodotus, Tacitus, Paul. You mentioned Paul.
I don't even need to go that deep.
Okay.
I'm gonna give it to you like this. The biblical narrative simply cannot be real. So why do we see that? Where do we see that motif? Because this is literature. We see that in Greek literature. We see that Hercules is Zeus's son with a mortal mother. We see that the Titans, all these gods, are gods that produce demigods. Jesus is factually a demigod in that book. His father is a god, and his mother is a mortal. And in the Jewish version, we take it up a notch. She's actually a virgin. She's never been touched. Cause Zeus's ladies, they the temple wife maidens, but doesn't necessarily say they're virgins, right? So ours got to be even more pure. She's a virgin. That's pretty much it. The whole Bible, the whole the Jewish Bible, is a is a is a is a Hellenized Jews attempt at establishing themselves as literary geniuses, not so as the Greeks. It was the standard of the time, right? America comes out with electronic cars, right? China wants to produce electronic cars. That's the standard. This one produces a big plane. The next country wants to do the same thing because we're moving the standards of excellence. At that time, it was Greek literature, and the whole biblical narrative is simply Greek literature from a Jewish, Hellenized Jewish perspective. There is nothing factual about a Jesus Christ. Nothing. All the narratives, everything about that dude is made up. And the moment you say and can establish Jesus as a walking, talking dude, the Bible loses again. That means his daddy, he came out of the penis of his daddy. He was a factual human being. That means when they killed his ass, he was dead. So you lose both ways.
I'm always asking where the bone is at. And when you tell me through to heaven, That's when I knew it was some bullshit.
That was my exodus out of religion at 14 years old. A virgin had a baby? I'm done. Mm-mm. You could have fooled me with the talking snake. I'm gonna give you that much. But the virgin baby thing, that no, that was it. I was done. Once I understood that was what that story meant, I was done. I was good. That no, you can have that. Nope. Mm-mm. That was the whole thing came crashing down after that. Then we went back and analyzed Noah's Ark. Bullshit. Jonah and the whale. Bullshit. You know what this is? This is fictional Harry Potter of the first century. Superman. Superman is simply Jesus retold for our modern day. He's fueled by the sun. His dad is Kal El, El as in the Bible. Jesus manifested and he became Superman at 32. He's the savior of the planet, of mankind. He's the moral compass of man. He is meek as a lamb when he's Clark Kent. Like, 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 like Superman is Jesus. Like Jesus is Superman.
Hey, Uncle said, can you give us some information on the Papa's Bull? The Papa's Bull.
The Papa's Bull is basically a document signed by the Roman Church at the time. Why? In that time in history, the church had more power than the kings. So the king had to be accepted by the church. So that's why the Dutch, for example, had an 80-year battle with the papacy for its independence and its freedom as a country away from the rule of the Roman Church. So Spain and Portugal were going at it. They were constantly fighting, especially over the north coast, the west coast of Africa, and the Caribbean, and so forth. While they were going at it, both of them were under the rule or the guidance of the Catholic Church. The church was the head of state. So the the Pope decided how we're gonna do this. We're gonna split the world down the middle. Everything south of this point belongs to the Portuguese. Everything north of this point belongs to the Spanish. And by means of just the Pope having said that, whatever these countries encountered on their expeditions automatically became the property of the Roman Catholic Church. So Spain, it would be for Spain, but under the ownership of the Catholic Church, because the papacy, the church was the Roman Catholic Church was the real center of power in Europe at that time.
Okay, so I remember when I first learned that the world was spinning and we on a spinning globe, a spinning ball. Um, it didn't make sense to me. But the more I started to understand science, you know what I'm saying, it made sense to me.
You know,
Can you
let,
explain how the world, how our planet is spinning so fast that we can't feel it?
I'm going to explain it like this. You're in a car, you're going 180 miles, right? The car is speeding. In that car, there's a fly. The fly is moving with the same speed of that car, but it is moving independently within the total speed of the car.
Gotcha.
You're in a train. The train is going 190 miles one direction, yet you can walk backwards in that train. Yet you're moving with the total speed of the train. You're in a closed system. That's why when a plane is flying, its orientation is to the ground. So as you move around, you stay you stay at a certain distance from the earth because you're actually flying around with the curvature of the earth because your point of reference is the earth. So you're always your point of reference is the land beneath you, the earth beneath you, the ocean beneath you. So you're moving constantly maintaining the same distance on that curvature. And we have to take into consideration our scale and size. We are not designed to understand the magnitude of this planet. So let's do this exercise. Take a beach ball, the biggest beach ball you can imagine. Now, take an ant and put it anywhere on that beach ball. Would the ant observe a curvature?
Nah.
Exactly. If you take the planet and you go outside the planet, it would feel as smooth as the back as a cue ball from from a pool table. So if you were to be able to magnify yourself to the size that the planet would be a cue the size of a cue ball, it would be just as smooth. Yet when you're on the planet, Mount Everest is larger than life. Whereas in reality, these peaks and valleys are microscopic to the size of the planet.
I got you. I like that. I like how you broke that down. Okay, so um when somebody say so we revolve around the sun.
Yes, we revolve around the sun. However, the sun revolves around us too, but it moves at a much, much slower rate. So we're moving much faster around the sun than the sun is moving around us. But it is the sun isn't actually standing still.
Okay, so can you explain the and I know this elementary uncle said, but I want the people to get the great explanation from the great Cedric Ortega. Can you
I
explain
appreciate it.
the difference between day and night, the sun affecting a globe compared to affecting a flat earth?
Okay, first of all, on a flat Earth, on the concept of a flat Earth, the sun would be on us 24 hours a day.
I love it. I love it.
There would be no way to escape or have a night.
If the sun, I got to comment on this. I've been holding my thoughts too long. If the moon is on the other side of the planet and the sun is on, I mean, if the moon, I mean, the planet is in between the moon and the sun, and the planet is bigger than the moon. How in
The
the hell does
moon,
the
the
goddamn
moon
sun
is in
illuminate?
between. The moon is in between the sun and the planet. That's why at certain points in time you get the moon being illuminated by its position in reference to the sun, and we observe it because the moon reflects the sunlight.
But
So
I
when
thought
we
it
see the
said,
moon lit up,
I thought it
when
said
we
the
see the
opposite.
moon lit up, it's because the sunlight is reflecting on the moon, and then it catches our eye. So the moon is actually between the sun and the planet. So you got that part wrong, just for reference. So you go ahead now.
So they don't sit on the opposite side. Like the sun don't set on the opposite side of the moon where the moon rise.
The moon doesn't rise, the sun doesn't rise. The planet spins around the sun,
No, I'm just saying what they say.
and the
What they say.
sun and the moon spins around the planet. So, but it is in between the sun and the planet. That's why you get a regular full moon, quarter moon, half moon. It's predictable based on how it's rotating between the sun and the planet. And
But wait,
the moon
your book.
reflects
So what?
sunlight.
Where does this information come from? NASA.
No, it's a natural observable fact. Go outside and look up.
I do. That's why I'm questioning because it's not
So you
doing
don't
what
see the
it's
moon,
not. It's
you
not.
don't
It's
see
not
a
making
full
sense
moon.
of what I
When
talk.
you
What I
see
was
a
talking
full
about.
moon, what do you think you're observing?
What you mean? What I think I'm observing?
When you see a full moon and you see a perfectly round disk, what we observe is a perfectly round disk. Why do you think you observe a perfectly round disk?
I don't know. I don't even know
Because the
how that's
light is
possible.
reflecting off of a sphere. The light that you see is being reflected off a sphere. So the sunlight hits the moon at an angle that illuminates the whole sphere. And that light is then reflected half of the sphere. But it needs to be a sphere for us to see a round disk. Because if it was flat, you would either see a slit or nothing.
Why is that?
Because it's flat.
So it'll be like 2D.
Yes. So you would just see a little line and then you would see nothing. But you see a round shape being reflected because it's illuminating a sphere.
Man, you got all them goddamn bullets, man. Throw them bullets out there, man. Throw
Man,
them
listen,
bullets.
man. I can't. You
All
can't.
right.
You can't listen. One thing about it. Two things for sure. You got to pick your battles, man. You can't go. I could throw these bullets at you. You feel me? I can't throw these bullets at Dr. Said. You feel me? I could throw these bullets at you because you ain't dedicate your life to this shit. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I could throw these bullets to you because goddamn we still figuring out shit. You feel me? He done already dedicated his life to this shit. So it don't matter if I come with NASA documents saying that the earth flat or whatever. You feel me? Actual videos or whatever. That I guess what? I'm just speaking through I'm not saying this exactly what he gonna say, but I'm just speaking through the mind of a person who done dedicated their life to something. You feel me? I don't care what you telling me. Whoop the whoop whoop explains whoop the whoop whoop. Or this
See,
right here is
that's why
you
that's
feel
why
me
the mind of a
scientifically proven for
scientist
this right here.
that's
The
why the
law of
mind of a
this
scientist
requires
is
this right
one
here.
that
The
isn't stuck.
scientific theory of this right here is the same thing with a religious person. I could show you that this shit
Nope.
fake as hell. You feel
Science,
me? But or I
science,
could show you
science provides me
I
with a
could show
tool to
you
change
I
my
could show you
mind
different
once
routes
the
based.
evidence is
You
presented.
feel me?
But what's
But
gonna
guess what?
happen is you're gonna
Still
present
in
something.
your
I'm gonna
way. You're not
debunk it
gonna think outside the box because you done
in real
dedicated your
time,
life to this
and
shit.
you're not gonna accept the fact that your information is flawed. So when NASA says the Earth is flat, no, it's not saying the Earth is flat. It's saying that when we fly, our reference point is the Earth beneath us. And when you're flying, everything beneath you is flat. It's on a plane. The ocean is flat when you're flying. The
I
Earth is
understand.
flat
I
when you're
understand
flying.
everything.
So NASA isn't
I
saying
understand
the Earth
everything
is
you be
flat.
saying. Everything
NASA is
y'all be
saying
saying.
when
I
you're
got
when
very
you're
good
flying a
comprehension
plane,
skills.
your point of orientation is the Earth beneath you, and you always can calculate a flat plane. You know why? Because the plane that you're in is so minute to the space you're operating in, all of it will remain a flat plane. But once your orientation is towards the planet, you're going to move with the axis of the planet. You're going to perceive as flying straight, but you're actually going around with the curvature of the planet. It is simple. If you've flown enough times in your life, that's a simple observation.
I don't flew. That's how I met. That's how I met. That's how I met
Exactly.
the host.
And the earth underneath your feet stays at the same height, right? There's no point that the plane continues to go up into space and the earth beneath you goes farther and further away. The same distance is maintained throughout the flight between ascent and descent, right?
Well,
Why is that?
how many miles do you have to drive in a plane, ride in a plane to notice a
When
curvature?
you're
If
in a
you take
convention, when
off
you're in
and
a plane traveling, the only way you notice the curvature is when you're doing the transatlantic trip. When you go from New York to Paris, you're gonna go through a time zone. You're gonna have your watch. It's gonna say it's gonna say 9 o'clock in the morning. It should be sunlight, and you're gonna hit a point in reference that is gonna go completely dark when it's 9 o'clock in the morning on your watch, but it's
so
completely
that mean
dark.
the
You know
earth
why?
curve.
Because you actually went back in time. You know how you go back in time? Because the earth's curved and the sunlight doesn't hit that part of the planet anymore. So it goes back to being dark,
I
and you go
understand.
and
This
you
just
travel
defies
back.
the laws of math and everything, huh?
You actually travel back in time. It's so funny because you say your watch is on New York time and it's supposed to be the middle of the day. You travel to Europe, it's the middle of the night, and it's a day earlier. So you just left yesterday, and yesterday is still to come. How about that? You know how you experience that? Because of your reference point to the sun. And when you go around the curvature of the earth and the sun isn't visible anymore in real time, you know that you just traveled through time, and the curvature of the earth makes you not be able to see the sun anymore, and it goes from light to dark in a heartbeat.
Okay, doctor said we on a spinning ball going at 1,000 miles an hour,
Yes,
orbiting a sun going at how many miles an hour?
I have no idea.
Let me see how fast do we orbit the sun. How fast do we orbit the sun?
We orbit the sun once every 24 hours.
I'm talking about the
Alive,
math. Cause math, cause,
365 days.
cause, cause math,
It
goddamn
takes
now.
365 days for the planet to orbit the sun.
I ain't talking about. I'm talking about the speed. We spinning at 1,000 miles an hour already on a ball. Then we orbit. We in orbit. We orbit the sun at 67 miles an hour, 18.5 miles per second.
Yep, yep. That's what we do.
How's this proven?
Different methods. We know the size of the sun. We know the distance from the planet to the sun. We know the time it takes us to make on one orbit around the sun. Do some math. We know that through the advent or the use of astrophysics. Newton figured that shit out, and he didn't have a computer nor a calculator.
Do we know he figured that out?
Yes, he did.
Do we know how he figured it out?
He calculated it. We have his calculations. Me and you can't read them, but that doesn't mean that they don't exist. My brother can read them, but I look at him and I go, "That's Chinese." What does it say? I'm more into the biochemistry stuff. That's my thing, not the mathematics. But doesn't mean that we don't know it. Doesn't mean we don't use it. We
Hey,
put
hey,
satellites into orbit, understanding the
Hey, I don't
speed
mean to
of
cut you out,
rotation.
Doctor said, but it's crazy that I ain't never say that, or I don't remember you saying anything about biochemistry. But you remember told you something about the biochemist cousin, the biochemist, but he a preacher, Shiny boy.
Yeah.
nah, I ain't hear you.
Nah, I told you that shit. I said, man, this shit. Nah, this when I had first got on the flat Earth shit. I'm like, man, like when I really got on it, like, what the fuck? Cause he like, man, shit. It said in the Bible, man, but I know it ain't flat. I know it ain't a flat Earth. I said, well, how the fuck you a preacher? What the fuck? You ain't making no money off that shit. Cause he one of them. He ain't one of
Listen,
them Creflo Dollar motherfuckers. He one of them. You feel me?
listen. Um, Not because I engage in sciences. You see, people assume that atheists and science go hand in hand. No, my disbelief in gods, is based on logical, philosophical parameters because I know it is a conceptual idea. Now, you could be a astrophysicist and never have given that any thought. Go to church every Sunday and sing hallelujah and believe in a God. The two, the two are not mutually exclusive. However, when the questions are posed to an atheist about the natural world, the more scientifically literate you are, the more you're able to answer those questions that are based in incredulity. How did we get here? We evolved. No, I mean, how did life start? Well, abiogenesis, we don't have all the answers yet, but we got most of the components. So we got a hypothesis, but it is hard to test it because, yeah, we can't reproduce the conditions of the early Earth.
See, doctor said, okay, now I'm finally with you. I ain't saying I haven't been with you and just totally against you, cause I ain't gonna care a lot of shit you say. I agree with the shit, but to me, I'm at a point where, cause I already went through all that shit. You feel me? I ain't go through the science shit to the point where, goddamn, I dedicated my life to that shit. I had a whole bunch of man hours in that shit like religion. Cause you know a lot of us in America, we grew up in religion. You feel me? Like in the church and shit. You feel me? But that's why I say manpower. I mean man hours in that shit. Like you got a lot of man hours and that knowledge, you know. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, well, again, maybe um, my foundation was Catholicism. I was a choir boy. I did my first Holy Communion and all that. And based on our community, like we go to different churches. So every summer I would go to Baptist church because they had a summer camp. I won Bibles and all that stuff. However, we were never forced. My dad wasn't no Bible thumper at home. My mom wasn't no Bible thumper. But religion was more a social, cultural thing. And I was afforded the luxury of having parents that I had 3 and 4 sets of encyclopedias in the house. So we were engaging in reading those encyclopedias, and we had biblical encyclopedias as well in the house. So we were given both. So we were allowed the opportunity to think, and I gravitated naturally towards the sciences. And and once you engage in scientific literacy and understanding, like you know how I do with my kids. The first thing I do is give them a book about the animal kingdom. At babies, 2 years old, 3 years
Mm-hmm.
old, we're already in the books about the animal kingdom. You know what that does to the Noah's Ark narrative? My 5 year old going, no, sir, the lion going to eat that zebra boy. Nope, nope, he's never going to make it out alive. Nope, that can't happen. I arm them with critical thinking skills. So They go to Catholic, to Christian schools because that's the foundation of my society. They come home and they go, but none of that ain't real. No. That like that. That's all. That's Harry Potter to my kids, and and that's what we got to arm our kids with. But I'm saying I came out of a society that is religious, and me being a full blown atheist is something that even my political affiliates are scared of. Right? They're like, oh, I like, no, my my disbelief in your God doesn't take away your God. I do not have to take away your God. What I'm going to do is arm you with some critical thinking skills, which which is going to allow you to come to a conclusion where I don't know. When I ask you, how does a God make a man first, whereas in nature, females are the ones that reproduce? And there are few exceptions to the rule that establish the rule. How we gonna make a dude first? And then when you read the narrative, he parades all the animals in front of Adam first. And because Adam didn't like the donkey's ass, it was just a little too big. The chimpanzee had a little too much hair on it, and the lion was way too aggressive. God said, "You know what? I'm gonna put you to sleep, and you're gonna give birth to the first female. I'm gonna take her out of you." How? How, Sway? Now, if you understand the basic tenets of biology, you're gonna sit back, look at that story, and go, "These motherfuckers be smoking some real shit." Nigga that came up with this shit, he was smoking some real shit. You think we got herb? This motherfucker decided that the dude was gonna give birth to a female after not wanting to sex any of the other animals. God's a motherfucker.
Hey, Bo, you want so you want me to
Huh?
I said you wanted to finish or you wanted me to jump into something new. I think you was finishing asking you was finishing saying something the uncle said
Oh
before
yeah,
we
I was saying like yeah, I agree with him on what he's saying about that sign. Like what you were saying, like basically is like basically with the experiments, y'all. This ain't what you said, but I'm just saying basically saying like with the experiments that have been conducted, that this is what we concluded. Could it be true? Like 100%, yes, no. You feel me? But time or so.
And that's why I underpin the fact that science doesn't operate within absolutes. There is always the possibility to come to new conclusions based on new evidence, based on re-examining that conclusion that we came to yesterday. We're going to redo it today again. And if we come to the same conclusion, we're going to find another way to test that same conclusion, another way to see if we get the same conclusion again. We are constantly pushing the envelope, constantly challenging what we know. So there is never going to come a point where you're going to hear scientists proclaim 100% of anything. The day we reach 100% is the day we close up shop. And that's no time soon because every answer that you get creates 50,000 more questions. And that's the beauty of science. That is the idea alone is making me smile. Like every time you reach to an answer, the answer becomes irrelevant. It is the question that those answers produce is what is interesting. Science is counterintuitive. I don't care about what we already know. I'm interested in what we don't know.
Hey Uncle
Like
said I got a question. Can you speak a little bit on the Vatican and a little bit on anything you know about that?
The Vatican is a great institution. The Vatican is the impetus for for modern civilization today. Um, it is all a matter of perspective, right? Um, world history and the development of Europe played out the way it played out, and the Vatican played a central political role in establishing the West. What it also did was because of its vast capital, it was allowed to engage in the early sciences, these philosophical discussions that take place in areas of affluency. We saw that with the Egyptian civilization, with their exploration of understanding the natural world. It is when society is a point of peace and affluence, it is when they engage in these philosophical discussions, which eventually led to the development of science. So when we look back, we're going to see a lot of names of priests and popes and these type of individuals that were at the root and the impotence of what later on became science. And continuously there's this false analogy being made that without religion you didn't have science. No, it is the affluence that that environment created which afforded the luxury to engage in the thinking process, in the ability to set up these elaborate experiments and do these things. At this point, they were so comfortable in their belief system that they wanted to explore the natural world. And what you got is the ridicule when they came to the conclusion far too often that no God was involved. You get Galileo and these type of people being persecuted by the same religious foundation from which they came. So you see how that bubbles around and bites it in the ass. But in terms of all the conspiracies with regards to what the Vatican is and the Jesuits, and once like an atheist doesn't believe in God, so I don't believe in devils. I give those religious institutions no power over my existence, right? So it is when you're steeped in mythology, when you're rooted in these narratives, is when these institutions gain power. That's when the lodge and the masons and that's when these entities have power. Once you give them this supernatural ability to engage in the effects of your reality, we give them that power. The Vatican has certain things that are just established. They're the biggest owner of real estate on the world. Anywhere you see a Catholic church, it belongs directly to the Vatican. That property is not owned, controlled, or dictated to by your country or by your state or by your local government. That is that you're on Roman territory at that point. The Vatican is, of course, a state by itself, and so it can have these how do they call it estates or colonies, sort of, that belongs to their massive empire. So they own the largest amount of real estate on the planet. They are a financial institution unto themselves. They have their own stock market, their own bank. It's a country within a country, right? And it has all the diplomatic ties to the world. And let's face it, when you have such a large amount of people still under the spell powers of the Pope, um, then there's a certain amount of respect that is given to these institutions still. Um, by the word from the Pope, he can upset the whole balance of democracy in South America, for example. If he was to get up and declare all governments of South America um, not in compliance with God and ask the people to rise up and demonstrate, he would shut down whole South America in a heartbeat because that is these people's still deep rooted connection to the Catholic faith. So when you're a world power, and you understand global politics, you engage with these entities still because you understand their position in the world. Now we can sit on these panels, and you know, as an individual, it has no power. At the moment I become a representative of state, I understand the necessity to engage with these entities.
Okay, so what do these people look like?
Like everybody, humans, black, white, Chinese, European, South American, they're just people.
So you got black people in the Vatican.
Oh, you mean you go to Catholic church, you become a choir boy, and then you decide you wanna become a priest. You go to a bishop school somewhere around the world, and a lot of these people engage in the politics of Rome. So there are Africans and Americans and black people and Chinese people. There are people from all over the world in the Vatican. Black priest Desmond Tutu, Bishop Desmond Tutu from South Africa. He was a Catholic priest as well.
Hey,
He
so
was
Unc said my question was more so the niggas that's running shit. What like?
what it looked like.
They British, man.
No, they like the Pope right now. He's South American.
Oh, I thought they were British.
But the popes are chosen by the bishops and the cardinals, and the cardinals are from all over the world. The bishops are from all over the world. The cardinals, once you become a senior cardinal, you come in running, and it's a conclave of the cardinals that choose the next pope. So it's a completely democratic process. And again, there are people from all over the world.
Now let me
That's one of the most homogeneous things that exist is the papacy.
now now when we talking about the chain of command, when we talking about the chain of command. Um, when you said they own the most real estate in the world, is it when you mentioned the Pope? The Pope is not the one that got all this money, correct? It's some
The
people.
Pope is the head nigga in charge. He's like the king of that country, right?
Hold up,
And
I'm talking about the
The,
Vatican.
yeah,
yeah,
he's the king of the Vatican.
Okay.
And the Vatican is made up of their political system is of cardinals. And the cardinals come from all over the world.
Pope Francis.
Yeah, Pope Francis in South America.
So all the so you telling me right now that everything that everything that got anything to do with the Vatican, Pope Francis on right now.
Yep,
Man,
he's the head
look,
nigga in
man.
charge of
Pope
all of that right
Francis.
now.
Listen,
So all these
he the
conspiracy.
head of the Catholic Church in Sovereign Vatican City. Also Bishop of Rome. Head of the Catholic Church. Anything got something to do with the Catholic Church,
He's the
he
last.
approve of it. He
He
can
is the
approve of it. If
last
we
one to
wanted to write a
decide.
Catholic Bible right now,
Hey, Bo. So
we
what's the
couldn't drop that bitch unless if we want to write any type of Bible, Christian Bible, whatever, nigga, we had to got the goddamn get the okay from him.
hey
Yep.
hey But so
He
what's
got
the
he got the okay. It don't go through chain of command and all that shit. It probably
and,
do that,
and- all
but
right,
he got to say okay.
all right, look. So what's the conspiracy theory around the Vatican? What is that about?
What is the conspiracy theory?
Have y'all heard about any conspiracy theories around the Vatican?
The secret vaults of the Vatican and all the
Talking
relics
about
that it
the Vatican.
contains, and
Yeah,
the
that
Vatican have
bullshit.
the Jesuits, and the Jesuits secretly will run the world. But then
Yeah,
another time it's the Jews that run
Uncle
the
said that's
world, and the
the Vatican.
Rothschilds, and
That's what I heard. Uncle said the motherfuckers in the Vatican run the world.
I know they run
I'll
religion.
sway.
I ain't gonna say 100% of religion, but I know any type of Christianity shit, Baptist, shit, whatever. I know that for a fact.
You got how many billion Catholics on the planet?
That
Catholics.
this shit, that's like about what? That's like 70 some percent, ain't it?
Okay, not and
Of the
not these
world.
little, yes, not these Baptists and little things. Look, you got Catholic. The Catholic Church was part and parcel of the colonization of the world. The oldest church, the oldest hospitals, the oldest universities. These are all
They
Catholic
started this shit.
established in the New World, right?
They started
Even
this
in
shit for us.
America, the largest amount of people are Catholic, directly under the Vatican. These people have the belief system that the Pope is the direct connection to God. From the time you become a statesman, you are going to engage with the Pope.
So Uncle
You,
said, so so Uncle said, wait, what pope what pope says something derogatory about black people?
I don't know. I don't think any Pope ever did.
So they just gave the okay.
To say to who?
For slavery.
Y- Yes, and it was just the Indians. They were dying out. They couldn't deal with the hard labor. The Catholic Church already dealt with Nzinga, already dealt with the Dahonis. They were familiar with these African tribes of strong, capable men to work. So they simply said, go get some Africans. They'll be better suited to do this type of work because the Africans farmed their own land. They were hardy, strong warrior types. They said that would be a better fit. And again, that was the status quo at the time. Slavery was just a normal enterprise. They had their own people enslaved at a certain point in time. You were a prisoner, get on that boat, you go to the New World, work for 7 years as a slave. You didn't get paid. Slavery was part and parcel of the world system. Why? Human capital, human force was how things was done. You needed mass amounts of physical bodies to get shit done. Today, we take an excavator and in 1 week, we're going to carve out a mountain which would have taken 500,000 men 6 months to do. Humans was the labor of humans was the status quo. They didn't have no jail system. There was no organized world like we see today. So go get those Africans to do the work had nothing really to do with seeing people as inferior or less of. That later evolves into a justification for the size and scale of the operations. Once slavery was outlawed, now we're going to go and breed them because, well, we can breed them because they're not really human, right? No, they're less than humans, so we can breed them like cattle. Those became justifications after the fact, and it deteriorated and deteriorated. Why? Because people were psychologically trying to find a way to justify the inhumaneness that they were engaging in. We do it nowadays to convict somebody or to get somebody to be seen as bad. What we call them? A monster, savage. We reduce that individual to less than human to justify anything that we want done to them, or any ill treatment that we want to put on somebody. We justify it by dehumanizing them. They become savage animals. He's a monster. So we frame them as less than human to get a certain justification for feeling that way about that particular individual. So this is all psychological. And a system developed out of it. A system developed out of it naturally because one group got power. And that power dynamic is what is at stake. Nobody relinquishes power voluntarily. That position of affluence is comfortable. So these are the dynamics that we need to understand. Get away from the emotional baggage and understand the power dynamic. How do you gain power? By educating your people. Step by step, you work your way out of poverty. The next step is gaining affluence and influence in your community. You get to become legislators. But we have to first accept and embrace where we are as ours. You ain't got no Africa to go back to. You are an American. Regardless of what going on, this is where I am from. I ain't got nowhere to go. So this got to be the best ever.
The
Once you
flight,
develop
flight,
that frame of mind,
flight's
you go,
$1,300. The flight's $1,300.
yeah, fly to go alone. Come on, you ain't going nowhere. This is home. This is all you know. So you can't be half in, half out. You can't see and think of where you are at in a tribal state of mind. You have to see yourself as part of the totality and understand. I understand the dynamics. I understand the history, which makes it not easy in the United States. But you're in the land of opportunities still. Education is top notch. You have you have the freedom to develop and market yourself and develop your product. You have enough volume that you can become successful. So you could afford now.
Man, you kicking that shit, bro.
Yeah.
You kicking that shit tonight. Nah, for real. Nah, for real, man. We gonna come back in a minute. But we were about to close out. I was about to get him to finish up. I was about to say, hey, Bo, so I think I learned something tonight. So you telling me, nigga, that everything in Rome, all the land, niggas say they got the most land. You telling me all that shit belonged to the goddamn Pope?
It don't belong straight to him. He
Oh,
control it though. He got control over it.
oh, okay, okay. So it's kind of like,
You know that shit like some air shit, really.
huh?
That shit be like some air shit. That's why they be want to keep that shit in the blood shit. You feel me?
Yeah. So it's kind of like America a little bit.
Hell nah.
Hell no.
Hell nah.
Nah, it's from the perspective of I thought y'all was saying that nigga own all the churches and he own all the land.
Nah, they just got a lot, man. You know that shit still like a team. You feel me? It's his family. It be like the family shit. You feel me? It don't be like that's how you get the power. It don't be no one nigga got all the goddamn power. You
Okay.
feel me? It be a head nigga. You feel me? But it ain't like that, but it like that.
So how the kings play? How the kings and the King Charles and princes and all of these niggas, how they play in the role with the Pope?
Shit, they just the king of where they at. You feel me? The king of Wales. You feel me? That's a country.
So
You
they
see what
like
I'm saying? That ain't in the Vatican. You feel me?
that.
That shit just he got a lot of real they got a lot of real estate because of the church, but that shit really they control the shit. You see what I'm saying? Like I said, like shit. If we try to do something right now, we got the goddamn he got to have to say so of that shit. You feel me? That shit ain't gonna be like we going to the local people and them folk gonna be like, okay, yeah, you could get it. Hell nah, that shit ain't finna go down like that. That shit gonna take time, nigga. Cause he got so much shit going on. Shit. That shit ain't like no I'm finna call the Pope and try to get me a church started and goddamn put me out a new Bible or some dumbass shit. Well nah, bro, this shit a real process, bro.
Hey, so the Pope is over the king and queen and all that.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, okay. Yeah, man. I definitely learned something tonight, man. Hey, we about to get up out of here, Rambo Yappa Chopper, man. Appreciate you for chopping it up, man. I like how you just sat back and soaked up that game, man. Sometimes you gotta know what I'm saying. Like you said, know when to fold.
I still don't think the fucking earth we on a spinning fucking ball going 1,000 miles an hour with goddamn 36,000 miles an hour around the damn sun. I still don't think that shit.
Goddamn miles an hour. Your ass need to be worrying about the goddamn the formation, the
Man,
form
I'm not worried about that, but ain't
what
nobody finna question me about that shit and goddamn say anything other than here, let's go. Let me show you without pulling up a bullshit ass goddamn picture.
I tell you what, next show, I'm gonna find the speeds of everything.
Then you be goddamn downplaying social media, but sending me these social media videos though. This nigga hell, man.
Hey man, we gonna get it in. We gonna get it in tomorrow. Know what I'm talking about? I don't know. I guess the rest of them niggas had to work late or with the family late, but we definitely gonna get it in tomorrow. Remember, Apple Chop. I'm gonna holler at you, boss.
You already know, man.
All right, my boy.
Yes, sir.